Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Inside Look. Today we're going to take a look at Gleyber Torres scoring from first base on an RBI infield single by Aaron Hicks. This was all the New Yorkers were talking about on Thursday because they couldn't talk about Jose Altuve silencing them, nor could they talk about Yordan Alvarez signing the adoption papers, becoming Garrett Cole's legal father, but I digress. Let's take a look at it. So before we take a look at this RBI single by Aaron Hicks, let's rewind 2 nights back. Hicks is hitting. Bielak is pitching. Hicks goes opposite field just out of the reach of Alex Bregman. Gets a single. Odor ends up walking on strikes. DJ hits an infield single that gets thrown away. Stanton singles. And that's the rally that broke the tie and ended the Astros that night. So this single ended up carrying that rally because it was all on 2 outs after. And Dusty did not want that again. Fast forward 2 days later. Look at where Bregman is playing. He's playing a little bit up the middle. Hicks is like, I don't care. He goes up the middle. Out of reach for Bregman still. Correa knocks it down, but guess what's out of reach now for Alex Bregman? Third base. Machete sees that. He's like, ooh, I got to cover. Torres sees that. He's like, I got to steal this bag. I think we both know who wins that race. Machete would win it without catcher's gear, but he's got that on. That's why Torres won. He's lucky, you know. Presley does not see this, and he does not cover home plate, which is now vacant. Torres sees that now, and now it's another foot race between Machete and Gleyber Torres. And again, Machete's got the catcher's gear on. If he didn't have the catcher's gear on, y'all, Machete's got wheels, all right. But he does have the catcher's gear on, and Torres takes home plate. So what should have happened here? I have a field set up here, and each player is a certain color, built for the shift, and there's a key somewhere to help you guys keep track of who is who. The first approach might be to think that Bregman should have covered third base, but given the fact that, Bregman didn't have to just beat Gleyber Torres to third base, he had to also get a ball and slap it on Torres and get him out. So, given the fact that Bregman was so close to second base, and he was going towards second base in the beginning to get that ball, he'd probably not have gotten there in time to... He might not even beat Gleyber to the bag, let alone have enough time to catch the ball and slap the tag. Presley, on the other hand, probably should have covered third base, in my opinion, initially, because, usually pitchers cover first base too. And granted, that is for force outs and not tag outs. He's the closest fielder. Everyone else is occupied except for Altuve, but Altuve's even further than Bregman is. Altuve's not going to get there in time. Presley should have covered third base. And, just having somebody there, even though Presley's not going to be a great fielder, obviously, just having somebody there is going to keep Gleyber Torres at second. So that's Presley's job. But we're going to rewind a bit. Maldonado has already covered third base. Who should be covering home plate now? Dusty Baker says Yuli should be. And I don't hate the idea of it, but I also still think that it should be Presley. Because again, just having a body there, like Jeff Blum said, just having a body there prevents that runner from even trying to go to home plate. But let's go Dusty's approach now. Yuli covers home plate. Who's going to cover first then? What's stopping Hicks from attempting to go to second, knowing that he could just go back to first without any risk? Tuve. Tuve's right there. He's literally right there. And in some bunt situations, when the first baseman gets the baseball, second base is covering first base anyways. So it makes sense, Dusty's approach. Since second basemen are sometimes responsible for covering first base, why not have Tuve cover first, Yuli get home, and you don't want the pitcher to field a lot, honestly. So in my situation where I had Presley cover third base, he's kind of like the only one available to do that. So I don't think Maldonado would have beat Gleyber Torres, even if he recognized it right away. So I think Presley was the only available option for that play. But if Machete's going to go to third, you don't want the pitcher to cover anything usually. He was still an option, like I said at first. If you have a body there, Gleyber would not have gone. So I'm not proving myself wrong here. I'm just saying that usually you don't want the pitcher to field at all. He's there to just throw that baseball And usually the only time you really see a fielder fielding is, on a tapper to him or a line drive to him. Then they have to field, but even then, they're not really good fielders. A lot of times when a pitcher gets that baseball, he throws it way out, way out. So you don't want that often. Not to flex though, I was a pretty great fielder as a pitcher. I remember calling off my teammates as a pitcher on a pop-up. Not to flex, just saying, but I'm the lowest in that priority chain that we talked about a couple videos back as a pitcher, but I still called some people off because Gold Glover right here. Just kidding, I'm not a Gold Glover at all. I didn't make any errors as a pitcher though. Like a lot of people are like, oh, it's really hard to like throw that baseball to first base as a pitcher. I have issue with that. I threw better to first base as a pitcher than I did as a third baseman. So, but anyways, yeah. So let's go with Dusty's approach here. Yuli should have been covering home plate. Pressly could stay put, but he should have covered third earlier. But in this case, should have stayed put. Tuve covers first base, and then you'd have Gleyber Torres at third instead. If Pressly covered third, then you'd have Gleyber Torres at second instead. But because Machete went, Pressly stays put, and you'll have Yuli at home, and then Gleyber Torres will stay at third. Instead, none of this happens. Gleyber Torres takes third and says, "Whoo, I could beat you out in a race." Takes home plate, scores a run, and this actually really hurts because Pressly had a pretty good ERA before this. He still has a really good ERA, but that hurt it. And Pressly induced a double play the next at bat. So Gleyber Torres never would have scored if Pressly covered third or Yuli covered home. But with all these shifts nowadays, it's really hard to know what to do, because Yuli would not instinctively say, I'm gonna leave this guy at first base. Nobody does that. I'm gonna leave the space open. And who knows, if Yuli covered home plate, if suddenly he had that awareness in a very new situation, these guys don't practice that. Yuli was not even a first baseman when he came over here. He was an outfielder. But Yuli, if he had the idea, I'm going to cover home plate, Tuve probably would not have the idea of covering first base either. So it's very messy. I'm not going to blame the Astros for this because it's not something you practice often, but it's something that they do need to do, because that cost Ryan Pressly's earned run average, and it would not have happened any way else. You just need a body there. I'm not gonna run to home plate when I see someone there covering home plate. You just need someone there. Just no matter how bad of a fielder he is, if he catches that, I'm out by a whole ocean. So we just need people to cover. Pressly should have covered third. If not, Machete covers third. Yuli goes home. Tuve goes to one. And that would have saved the run. Literally, it would have saved the run because the next play was a double play. But yeah, it is what it is. The Astros managed to salvage the game from that series and avoid the sweep. Tuve silenced the crowd. Garrett Alvarez was born, and I'll see y'all later.